Hello, I'm Jerry Stone, and this is the Recapathon, Episode 1.
The Recapathon, where 3 radios and a tube-driven record player are recapped, because they sound awful. Anyway, the 4 contestants are... It's not a competition. Capehart, TC20, Stuart Warner, A61P3, Firestone record player, has a million model numbers, and Philco, 37630. Watch now in like 3 to 4 weeks or months when the Recapathon will come on.
Oh, jeez. Firestone tube record player. This is pretty cool. I estimate this to be from the late 50s, early 60s. And, you know, it works. Although it's a rim-driven mechanism. It's not great. Okay. So we're going to plug it in right here. And we're going to turn the record player on. It's currently on 78. Can't see that. It's not 78. If I go to 45, you can hear the hum. That's a lot of hum. Hopefully this won't get too much copyright. I won't be playing that much. So yeah, lots of hum. Also to note that if you pull these knobs off and touch these stalks, they will electrocute you with mains voltage because no power transformer. You'll see that the electronic section is actually quite small. Okay, alright. Pull off our arm. Yes. Does it land? Does. Ooh, nice. It doesn't go very loud. You can actually have to close the lid. And this is with the volume all the way up. I really hope this goes without saying, but unplug your stuff from the wall before you take it apart. There are 4 screws, and then you can lift the chassis out. Also, you want a small screwdriver to remove this plate. Let's remove that first. We'll see part of the main chassis once we remove this. Okay, now this cover will slide off. Here we go. Okay. Be prepared to do some heavy lifting. So, we will take out these 4 screws. There we go. Okay, now that all 4 of these screws are out, we can lift. I usually lift from the stack and over here. Now, don't pull too hard. I'm going to kind of set it on the rim here because there is a connection I need to desolder before completely removing this. Okay, I'm going to set it in the chassis like this. So, now let's take a look at this. Okay, we'll look at the power unit in a minute. But first, there are 2 wires that connect this to the power unit. The AC mains goes to the power unit, not the turntable. This is the power supplied to the motor. This has a connector. Even a little easier said than done. There we go. Nothing in here is really built to the highest quality. Anyway, that's fine. So, now we got these 2 connections. Oh yeah, here's... If you're curious, I have a Weller SP40L, and I use some nice old lead Radio Shack solder. Smell of a solder. Okay. Be careful, there is lead. So, we will just... There we go. Now, with the output wires desoldered and the motor power desoldered, turntable should lift right out. This actually has a schematic in it, which is pretty neat. So, now we need to get this power unit out. So, first we are going to take off the knobs in the front. Always remember to take off the knobs. I have pulled like chassis out and forgot to take off the knobs, and just the knobs popped off and went somewhere. I'm just gonna put these knobs in the magnetic dish, even though there's no metal in them. Okay, now there are 2 Phillips screws here and here. Can't see either of them. Don't worry, you'll get a better view once I take this out. And you can see the one little tube in here. So, we'll just... Be careful. If the screwdriver handle landed there, no more tube. So, I'd recommend for little chassis like this, which get moved around a lot, take out the tube. It doesn't slide out, just kind of go bleh. You can hold by this. Filter capacitor, high wattage resistor, tube. Since these are 2 different colors, we can easily snip them. So there you go. Anyway, now this whole, oh my god. It's useless. It's not even documentation. I'll put a piece of electrical tape there. Now, this thing will come out. So here we go. Here's our little chassis here. Got our power cord. We could plug it into mains, but we'd probably die. So let's look what we got here. We got this, of course, the output connector. We got the speakers and the line cord. We got this high wattage resistor, filter capacitor, our tube, and then our electrolytics, which we'll be replacing. Whoop. So we're gonna try to get this back off. Front off. I don't know. Is it the back or the front? There we go. That's 1/2. Oh, just wiggle. Oh, we got some spicy wax caps. Ah, got it. Here we go. Did I get cut? Ooh, I did get cut. Well, it's true. It's a 0.05. I thought it was a 0.5, so that's not good. Luckily, I can still replace the electrolytic capacitor. Phew, okay. After much wiggling, I got the can out. So the good news is I got the can out. The bad news is the wires are not long. D21. There we go. Ooh, that's a bit shorter than I wanted. Okay, so I finally gave up and extended the wires because they're just too short to really safely solder anything to. Oh yeah, the blue is now aquamarine or green now, so I'm waiting for the heat shrink, and then I'll put the heat shrink on, and no, these will probably not get replaced. So here's a capacitor. Of course. So I kind of hot glued it together. Here's our 20, our 30, and our 40. I kind of just hot glued it all together, and then here are all 3 of the positives, and then our big negative up here. So, okay, here's the heat shrink. Melted with the soldering iron. So, yeah, you want to put heat shrink over the extended wire. So this will be helpful for the Recapathon. So, yeah. So, the goal is to find the smallest one that will fit over the wire. It will slide down the wire because they can only shrink so much. And I should scrape all the solder. Look, heat shrink. Shrink! Okay, we got heat shrink. There was only 2 more because one of them soldered directly to the, I wouldn't say it's not a board, it's to a terminal. And we don't put heat shrink over that. So, now we are going to thread all this through the hole. Right about here. That's also probably a bit too long, but that's okay. Okay, here we go. We're going to finally solder on a new capacitor. And cure it. So, we're going to put it back together. So, we're going to drop the chassis in here on this little block of wood here. I guess it goes like this. And we'll try not to forget to put the tube in. Right now, I just want to see this thing work perfectly. Well, now it's time for the moment of truth. Did it work or did it blow up? We don't have a fire extinguisher on hand, so hopefully I wired everything correctly. Remember, I just replaced the electrolytics. Okay, no gabam. No gabam yet. So we'll have the turntable spin up. We'll start on 78. So it has a better chance of going. Huh, that's weird. So it was going just like really slow, and then I just heard a vroom, and then it just went right up to speed. So yeah, there's less hum. I don't know how much less. It's probably still gonna be quiet because the wax caps have been replaced, but we'll try. And yes, is that more than 78? Let's say that's 33. Okay, let's run. I don't think I ran that for long enough. There we go. Start from the... I don't know. Just a second. So it's still very quiet, but... So, how successful were we on this project? I'd give it a 5 out of 10, you know. We didn't break anything. Everything still works. And there is noticeably less hum, but I'm guessing it's the wax capacitors that are contributing to the low volume, so... I don't have the right values. Here, you can take a look. This is what I did for the Recapathon. And I ordered 0.05s, not 0.05s. 0.5s, not 0.05s. So yeah, it is 5 out of 10. I'll eventually replace the wax. But not today, because that is all that there is for the Recapathon. So, that's all. Bye.
Here's a little sneak peek.
This will be next week's video along with the second Recapathon. Zenith AM FM radio. Even though it doesn't look like it, this is the size of a small television set. It has a ton of tubes in it. It's from the early 60s and it's awesome. I've done no electrical restoration yet, but it performs as flawlessly as a solid state set. So yeah, look ahead to this.